on the measure of beauty. What is higher about the spirit and its artistic beauty is not something merely relative in comparison with nature. On the contrary, spirit is alone the true, comprehending everything in itself, so that everything beautiful is truly beautiful only as sharing in this higher sphere and generated by it. In this sense, the beauty of nature appears only as a reflection of the beauty that belongs to spirit, as an imperfect, incomplete mode of beauty, a mode which in its substance is contained in the spirit itself. Quote by Hegel from the Lectures on Fine Art, Volume 1. Because spirit, the developed conscious and unconscious being of the social organism which generates itself from and through itself, is a higher yet more fundamental entity than nature, it is the measure of beauty against which all things are measured. It is in fact not simply the measure of beauty, but the measure of all things, since it is the most concrete realization of the absolute to which all else is relative. In other famous words, of all things the measure is man, of the things that are, and of the things that are not, that they are not. Famous quote by Protagoras. The highest works of art concern themselves with spirit, the concrete existence of intelligent beings in a self-determining social world. In this case, it is our spirit, the human spirit. And so the highest standard of embodied freedom is the human body, the highest narrative of the human story. The highest narrative is the human story. The highest poetry is ultimately about the human world, even when it attempts to rise into the realm of religion and even philosophy. But just because we happen to be the beings that we are does not reduce the essential truths to our species. The measure is not humanity as an animal species, but the spirit which exists in, through, and as the human species here. Spirit which is also to be found in any rational and feeling species. Not only that, but the world of spirit is not the mere simple world of material life, but also the life of its concepts, its hopes, and its dreams. Because the spiritual world is something above mere matter, mere nature, and because humans are spirit, art finds itself concerned with the ultimate matters, questions, and problems of what seems to be a transcendental world that is nevertheless quite close to our everyday life. The highest art reveals the eternal nature of humanity, reveals its existence as noble and natural to the universe, and shows that the spark of the divine is in humanity, and so, as the Bible and other religious and spiritual works claims rightly, that man is made in God's image. But more than revealing the nature of humanity to itself as what it truly is, as spirit, it reveals the world as such, a world immanent to spirit, as pervaded by this spirit. God, the absolute of the universe, the great spirit, or what else one wishes to name this ultimate reality, is revealed to be thoroughly penetrated by the ever-increasing idealizing principle of humanity, that is, that spirit in appearing in nature brings forth a spiritualized nature under its conscious and rational aims of realization. Humanity cannot help but to humanize its world, not under selfish aims of species egoism, but as the aim of establishing a real scientific, ethical, and cultural order. It is in art that beauty finds its highest embodiment, and what is embodied there is freedom itself as absolute. Spirit is freedom in the very way it develops, moves, and lives. As such, it is clear why Hegel says that what art, that is fine art, displays is freedom in sensuous appearance, and why spirit is the measure. Spirit is the most real and actual concretization of freedom, that is, freedom that is freely free through what it determines itself to be. Freedom is truth itself, and so beauty is itself measured according to its capacity to display the truth of freedom in its presentation. A beautiful stone is not beautiful because it entices our senses and creates pleasure, but because its sensuous appearance in material and form show a portion of essential truth concerning the necessities of freedom in the laws of nature and geometry. However, such beauty pales as a pebble to a boulder when compared to how much and what kind of beauty may be presented in a painting of human social life, and this pales in comparison to a theatrical film of the same. Spirit is the objective measure and the subjective source of beauty and art itself. As spirit is the measure of beauty, the spiritual individual is measured against this measure. Taste is itself not the measure, nor is it even the measuring sign of beauty, but of the individual's capacity to perceive beauty. the individual's taste measured against the beautiful object. "Enigma treading on enigma," I exclaimed. "I did not come here to be asked riddles." "No, but you came and found the riddles waiting for you. Indeed, you are yourself the only riddle. What you call riddles are truths, and seem riddles because you are not true." An excerpt from Lilith by George MacDonald. Just as in Lilith, Mr. Vane is confronted with truths which he cannot understand and so appear to him as unintelligible, paradoxical riddles, just in this way does an individual encounter beauty as insensible, that is, unaesthetic, when they are, as Mr. Raven says, themselves untrue. Here's a quote by Michael Sugrue. "If you really read Plato's dialogues and don't like them, there's something wrong with you. I'm not exaggerating or joking. They're so subtle and beautiful and deep. If you honestly don't like Plato, there's something wrong with you. If you apply yourself to his work and don't find it uplifting or beautiful or spiritually ennobling, you have a problem. It's not a problem with Plato. Take my word for this." If indeed Plato's works are beautiful, and they are, yet one does not find this so, indeed there is a problem. The problem is the judge, not the object. But what is the problem? We may be tempted to say it is taste which is the problem. Bad taste equals bad judgment. It seems simple enough. The judgment of taste is not, as is commonly understood, one of a simple true or false dichotomy, such that all there is to it is its presence or absence in tasting an object for beauty. Taste is not simply being right or wrong about an object being beautiful. What a judgment of beauty through taste gives us is at once a judgment which further determines the judge who utters it, revealing in this judgment how far they measure up in the appearance of spirit. It reveals first the general development of the judge's taste, and even having a taste within broad categories, such as the divine, metaphysical, absolute, the objectively social, the quotidian, and subjectively personal. They may be categorized in broadly the following form: absolute beauty, objective beauty, and subjective beauty. Within these are further concretizations and particularizations of taste which specifies what determinate forms of these a judge recognizes these modes of the beautiful in. There is indeed a problem with one who judges Plato's works not to be beautiful. The problem is far deeper than taste. Indeed, taste is simply where the problem appears. Bad taste is a sign of an untrue, or rather incomplete, development of the integrated self as physical, psychological, and cognitive. The instrument of taste is itself wrong in a far more troublesome manner than simply miscalibration. It has a faulty construction to begin with. There is indeed something wrong, something untrue, in those whose taste either has no place for the beautiful at all, or for whom the beautiful is only recognized in its crudest, morbid, or darkest forms. The soul that is touched by the misty morning prairie sights and by the song of the birds, yet feels nothing when hearing a dirge or a playful tune, has a problem in its very being.